Some monsters don't hide in the dark. They walk among us, looking like ordinary people. Anders Behring Breivik was one of them. His face was plain, easy to forget. As a child, he was quiet and different, but no one saw the darkness growing inside him. That darkness grew stronger as he got older, fueled by anger and grand ideas about himself. By the time he was an adult, it had taken over completely. To most people, he seemed normal, just another man blending into the crowd. He had neighbors, acquaintances, even people who occasionally chatted with him. No one suspected that beneath his calm exterior was someone filled with hate, planning something terrible. His cold, emotionless face hid the monster inside. And when the time came, he revealed it to the world, leaving a scar that would never fade. On July 22, 2011, in Oslo, Norway, the day started like any other. People went to work, children played, and the city bustled with its usual rhythm. But under the gray sky, Breivik was ready to carry out his plan. He had spent years preparing, fueled by extremist beliefs and a desire to make a statement through violence. His first target was the heart of Oslo. He planted a large bomb in a van parked near government buildings. The explosion was massive, shaking the city to its core. Buildings crumbled, windows shattered, and thick smoke filled the air. The sound was deafening, a thunderous roar that echoed through the streets. Sirens soon wailed as emergency crews rushed to help. People screamed, running in every direction, confused and terrified. Some were injured by flying glass and debris, while others tried desperately to find missing loved ones. Amid the chaos, Breivik watched, calm and satisfied. But this was just the beginning. His real target was an island called Utøya, not far from Oslo. A youth camp was being held there, full of young people from Norway's Labour Party. It was supposed to be a fun, peaceful day, filled with activities, discussions, and friendships. The campers laughed, shared stories, and enjoyed nature, surrounded by the beautiful scenery of the lake and trees. They had no idea that evil was on its way. Breivik arrived on the island dressed as a police officer. His uniform made the campers feel safe at first. Some even approached him, thinking he was there to protect them after hearing about the Oslo bombing. But then, without warning, he pulled out a gun and started shooting. The first gunshot shattered the calm, and panic spread like wildfire. Some kids froze, too scared to move. Others ran, trying to hide in the trees or escape into the water. But the island was small, with nowhere to run. Breivik moved through the camp with chilling precision, hunting his victims without emotion. The sound of gunfire echoed across the island, mixed with screams of fear and pain. Some campers tried to call for help, whispering into their phones while hiding under rocks, behind trees, or in small buildings. Others tried to swim to safety, their bodies trembling from the cold water and fear. But even the freezing water couldn't protect them. Breivik was relentless, showing no mercy. Parents of the campers waited desperately for news, their hearts filled with fear and dread. Many called their children, hoping to hear their voices, praying for their safety. Some received final text messages or whispered phone calls, filled with fear and love. The tragedy unfolded not just on the island, but in the hearts of families across Norway. As news of the attacks spread, the entire country held its breath. Police, rescue teams, and volunteers rushed to the scene, navigating the chaotic aftermath. Survivors were pulled from the water, trembling with cold and fear. Some were covered in scratches and bruises from running through the dense woods. The community rallied, offering shelter, blankets, and comfort to those who had escaped the horror. By the time it was over, the island was silent. Breivik stood alone, surrounded by the devastation he had caused. His face remained cold and blank, as if the lives he had taken meant nothing to him. Eventually, the police arrived and arrested him. He surrendered without a fight, his mission complete in his twisted mind. But even in custody, his hateful beliefs and lack of remorse continued to shock and horrify the world. The attacks left deep scars on Norway. Survivors carry both physical and emotional wounds, haunted by memories of that day. Some lost friends, siblings, or classmates. Others struggle with guilt, wondering why they survived when others did not. The entire country mourned together, holding vigils, sharing stories, and trying to heal from the unimaginable loss. In the aftermath, the court proceedings became a focal point for the nation. Breivik's trial revealed more about his disturbing ideology, but it also became a platform for the voices of survivors and the families of the victims. Their testimonies were heart-wrenching, filled with grief and resilience. They spoke not just of loss, but of the courage it took to survive, to remember, and to move forward. Breivik's actions were a terrifying reminder that true evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it wears an ordinary face. His crimes showed the world that danger can come from the people we least expect, those who seem invisible in the crowd, the ones we pass by without a second glance. He believed his actions would inspire others, but instead, they united people in defiance against hatred and violence. In the years that followed, Norway focused on healing. Memorials were built to honor the victims, and survivors shared their stories to keep the memories alive. The country refused to let hate define them. Communities came together, proving that love and resilience are stronger than fear and violence. Though Breivik is behind bars, the fear he created lingers, a dark shadow that will never fully disappear. But so does the strength of those who survived, the courage of those who helped, and the unity of a country determined to remember not just the tragedy, but the bravery and kindness that emerged from the darkness. The story of July 22, 2011, is one of heartbreak, but also of hope. It reminds us that even in the face of unimaginable evil, humanity's spirit can endure. And while we may never fully understand the darkness that drove Breivik, we can honor the light of those who were lost by choosing compassion, unity, and remembrance. Today, the island of Utoya stands as both a memorial and a symbol of resilience. Every year, people gather to pay tribute, laying flowers and sharing moments of silence. The survivors, though marked by tragedy, have become voices of strength, advocating for peace and against the very hate that sought to silence them. Their stories, filled with pain and courage, continue to inspire and remind us of the power of human resilience. Norway's response to the tragedy was rooted in solidarity and openness. Leaders emphasized democracy, compassion, and the importance of standing together in the face of terror. Vigils filled with candlelight illuminated cities across the nation, with people from all walks of life joining hands in unity. The message was clear: hate would not win. The legacy of that dark day continues, not just in Norway, but around the world. It serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of extremism and the importance of vigilance. But more importantly, it highlights the enduring power of community, the strength found in shared grief, and the unbreakable spirit of those who refuse to be defined by fear.